Hoskin. But first, Syrian-based jihadists have told Sky News a holy war stretching through North Africa into the Middle East is now underway. They claim the failure of the international community to resolve the Syria conflict is at the core of a new fight against the West. From Aleppo, Sky's chief correspondent Stuart Ramsey reports.
The front line in the battle for Aleppo is constantly changing. You only know you've arrived when the people disappear. There's nothing left here. This part of the city is destroyed. Only fighters are on the streets now. They're a mishmash of defected soldiers, the Free Syrian Army, and a growing number of jihadists. They have a tenuous grip on these alleyways and don't want us to give away their positions. They say this is a cold front with low levels of fighting. In reality, though, it never really stops.
Beside the soldiers, there's more people. They call Shabiha. Yes, there are so many over there. Yes, in the another side. They are from Armenian, and they are from Shia. There are so many kinds of people. They were civilian, and now they carrying guns, and they are in the military.
Thank you. Well, it's obviously clear that although the firing line is only a few meters away and there's firing over this side as well, it's quite clear that the Syrian government forces and these rebels exchange fire on a regular basis. We think that somebody's been injured and they're now going up the street to try and get them back. Two years after the start of the uprising, the chaotic front line is reflected in the groups who are fighting across Syria. These men are part of Jabhat al-Haq, the Front for Justice, a jihad grouping imposing strict Sharia law in small courts. Their leader is Sheikh Abu al-Haman. He isn't just fighting for Aleppo or Syria, but a greater jihad. It stretches from Mali and Algeria, across North Africa to Arabia and Syria, Jordan and Israel.
I'm very surprised with France's reaction to Mali. They have seen what happened to the US Army in Afghanistan and Iraq. The West should learn their lesson and not fight Muslims, because that gives them a reason to fight back and make them look like they are in the wrong. The wars in Afghanistan and Iraq have led to an increase in resistance towards the West.
The rise in jihadist groups here has become a simple fact of life. It's a consequence of the chaos created by the failure of anyone to bring this to an end. 2 years on, and Syria's fate lies in the balance. Foreigners, rather than the people themselves, may ultimately decide its future. For now, the forces of the government and the rebellion appear to have reached a stalemate. Stuart Ramsey, Sky News, Aleppo.
Well, Syrian commentator Ammar Waqqaf is here with me now, and obviously you've just seen that report go out. What's your reaction to that claim that jihadists are growing in influence in Syria?
Well, yes, I believe this is indeed the case. I don't think it is a consequence of the inability to solve this matter. I think this was planned a long time ago. There is a certain ideology behind it. I need to point out first that in the report it does say that the Free Syrian Army is made up of defected Syrian soldiers. I think that's a bit misleading. I think it does give the impression that the Syrian army has split into, and that is not indeed the case.
But there are various elements within the Syrian
there are
army
quite a
coming
few.
from different backgrounds.
There are quite a few, yes. But going back to the issue, I think the concept of turning Syria into a sort of another base for jihad, or another Qaeda in Arabic means base, And the ideology and the concept behind it is actually to turn a certain country into a base or a secure base from which jihadists can go into other elements. Is the reason why we see an increasing number of jihadis in Syria. The first call was made by Ammar Waqqaf in July 2011. This was largely ignored by the international media, actually, but it was clear from then that they considered Syria to be a very good opportunity for them to move in and create their own safe haven.
And what are all the reasons? What is the mix that makes Syria ripe for jihadists to move in?
Well, the instability, first of all. There is a tradition, sort of, also a doctrine by Ayman Zawahiri himself, that says that the countries surrounding Israel are all sort of collaborating because they're not liberating the Holy Land. And even though the Syrian government does have an open, hostile sort of posture towards Israel and supporting groups like Hamas and Hezbollah, they don't buy into that, and they say, no, there is a secret collaboration between that government and the Israelis. They don't like the Syrian government because of its secular, progressive approach, and they think it's an infidel. So their point of the matter is, or their intellect, is to move into such place, either Syria, Jordan, Egypt, or Lebanon, and secure a base from which they can actually start launching attacks into Palestine and liberate it as they think they can. So.
And is their job made easier by a lot of disaffected Syrians who are easy picking, really?
Not only disaffected, but also disenchanted, because a lot of Syrians, you might want to say, or might want to argue, that they've lost some loved ones during this, and they have some reaction against the government. And these people are trying, the Jabhat al-Nusra, which means the front for supporting those who are in duress, they find that, in a sense, a bit appealing. They're trying to organize the society in such a way. We're doing the right sort of religion here, the right sort of, society building. And people might be intimidated by this a little bit, but some might find it a bit appealing. So yes, yeah. So
there was one claim made in the report that the West is making it easier for jihadists. Would you agree with that claim?
I would certainly agree with this claim, because I think that the West is taking it a bit slow to realize the potential danger that lies behind the jihadists having another safe haven. Yes, they've reacted very fast to Mali, or relatively fast to Mali, but in Syria I think they've waited too long to realize the threat. I think the Western societies are being more and more defensive, going more and more to the right because of this influence from, or the threat that the societies here perceive.
Okay, Ammar Waqqaf, thank you very much for sharing your views with us. Thanks for coming in.